Did you notice that the graffiti wall hides all the secrets of the Backrooms movie? The surveillance camera in the top left corresponds to Clark discovering that the Backrooms are constantly being monitored. The houses reveal the evolutionary pattern of the Backrooms. Each duplication pushes it one level deeper, while gradually losing its original form. The large house represents Clark's furniture store. The lightning symbol beside it indicates he discovered the reason for the rising electricity bill. The Backrooms are consuming energy from the real world. The yellow protective suit suggests Clark has already encountered async personnel. The X mark represents his belief that they are hostile. Clark wants to stay in the Backrooms forever, while the staff want to capture surviving humans for research. The calendar hints at Clark's distorted sense of time. Blue X marks represent dates when staff appeared. Red marks record monster activity patterns. The prominent sun symbol corresponds to the idea that the original Backrooms are linked to solar flare events. The drowning symbol suggests Clark has reached level 8, the underwater region. Why think in terms of magic? Be realistic corresponds to Clark's suspicion that the staff represent a man-made conspiracy. Here and now is a two-way street. Reflects the non-linear nature of time in the Backrooms. Tables don't bleed blood. Indicates that objects in the Backrooms cannot feel pain and may be used as supplies. While Pirate Clark can bleed, so he is interpreted as a higher level entity. The final text implies that the Backrooms he perceives is something he himself has drawn. In the bottom right corner of the graffiti wall, a crane constructs a skyscraper, corresponding to Mary's house being demolished. While a Backrooms tower is being built, the small figure under the structure is Mary, suggesting she may be permanently controlled by async.
How to enter the Backrooms. Most people think the Backrooms are just an internet legend, an endless maze of yellow walls, buzzing lights, and rooms that never end. But according to old stories, there's a place similar to the Backrooms, home to things that were never meant to exist. Towering figures with arms that scrape the ceiling. Creatures with too many joints, crawling silently through the vents. Faceless wanderers that mimic lost people. Eyeless hounds that hunt by sound alone. And smiling things that stand perfectly still until you blink. No one knows where they came from, only that they don't belong in our world. Step 1. You'll need 4 things. A hotel key that no longer opens any door. A flickering flashlight. A sheet of yellow paper. And a clock that's exactly 1 minute slow. Wait until 3:03 a.m. Stand in the corner of the smallest room in your house. Turn off every light except the flashlight. Place the yellow paper against the wall and hold the old key in your hand. Stare at the sheet long enough to only see yellow. Then say, "If there is a room beyond this one, let me enter." Close your eyes and take 10 slow steps forward. Do not stop, even if you feel yourself pass through the wall. When you open your eyes, the room may look familiar, but it won't be. The lights will buzz without stopping. The air will smell weird. And somewhere in the distance, you'll hear footsteps. The rules you must follow. If you see a smiling figure standing at the end of a hallway, walk away. If you hear a child crying, ignore it. If something begins crawling across the ceiling, do not look up. And if you see a person with no face waving at you, do not wave back. And if there's a puddle, do not step in it. The stories say every monster you see was once another person who entered and never found the way home.
Why did Bobby's t-shirt appear in the Backrooms before he did? No one realized that time in the Backrooms is non-linear. After Clark offered double pay, Bobby and Kate agreed to enter the Backrooms with him. However, while Bobby was exploring the space, he discovered a white t-shirt with a black design on it. Many viewers noticed that it was identical to the shirt Bobby was wearing when he first appeared. So how did the shirt end up in the Backrooms before Bobby himself? In reality, time in the Backrooms does not flow in a normal sequence. The past, present, and future may all exist simultaneously. First, at the beginning of the film, async researchers encountered a creature resembling Pirate Clark in the Backrooms. However, Clark had not actually entered the Backrooms at that point, meaning it could only have been the result of a temporal distortion. Second, when Clark first entered entered the back rooms and explored a distorted room, 2 pairs of shoes could clearly be seen embedded in the floor. These shoes were identical to the ones Kate and Bobby were wearing when they later disappeared. Finally, when Mary went to the furniture store looking for the missing Clark, she saw a large number of bills and letters scattered on the floor, implying that Clark had been gone for over a month. Yet Clark's clothing and appearance in the back rooms had not changed at all. This further highlights the difference between time in the back rooms and time in the real world.
Do you know who those people in protective gear are in the Backrooms trailer? They're not just background figures. They're the ones driving the events unfolding, and they might even risk the end of the world. Throughout the series, these Hazmi-suited individuals have been quietly researching the Backrooms. It's unclear whether they created this infinite, mysterious space, but they've discovered it and are now attempting to control it. Their apparent goal seems practical. The real world faces overpopulation, and the Backrooms, being limitless, could provide a solution. Blueprints in the trailer show plans for building infrastructure, apartments, and even entire human settlements inside the Backrooms. But things quickly get dangerous. Every time they enter, they encounter entities, bizarre environments, and phenomena they don't understand. That's what makes them so risky. These people aren't villains. They're ordinary humans doing their jobs, but trying to control something beyond their comprehension turns their actions into a potential threat. Their intentions might be to save the world, yet every intervention carries the chance of disaster. And it's not just theoretical. Each step they take could have unforeseen consequences, slowly unraveling the boundaries of reality itself. The Backrooms aren't just a space to explore. They're a ticking time bomb in the wrong hands.
How things and monsters in the Backrooms came to be. First, the Backrooms reads people's memories, and even generates personalized illusions. Seagulls from outside the furniture store appear in the Backrooms. The stop sign from the protagonist's front door appears in the Backrooms. Furniture from the store appears in the Backrooms. Everything twists, clips through walls, and defies physical logic. In the film, when Mary finds Clark, he is trapped in a distorted version of home, a dinner table with cold food, surrounded by facially twisted doppelgangers. The Backrooms generated this illusion by reading his painful memories of marriage and family. Second, the Backrooms copies people's obsessions and manifests them as inner demons. The protagonist's divorced wife is projected into the Backrooms as a facially distorted doppelganger. His career failure and psychological issues are projected as a man-eating pirate. In the film's climax, Pirate Clark appears. He is the embodiment of Clark's own obsession. In reality, Clark once shot a silly advertisement dressed as a pirate, but the Backrooms read his professional frustration, resentment, and refusal to change, poured these negative emotions into the pirate image, and hatched it into a man-eating ultimate inner demon. He chases Clark through room after room, and finally swallows him whole.
Here's everything you need to know before watching A24’s Backrooms as someone who watched it early. Starting with what the Backrooms actually are. Now, the concept of Backrooms first went viral in 2019 from this 4chan post depicting these off-putting yellow rooms. That photo then spawned a bunch of online mythology about these liminal spaces. Now, in the movie, these rooms are seemingly created by human memories. However, just like human memories, they are never perfect, which is why they feel familiar, yet are always slightly off. And then we have the fact that A24’s Backrooms technically already has a prequel series you can watch right now. See, the movie is directed by Kane Parsons, a 20-year-old YouTuber who's known for his Backrooms web series, which is a series depicting found footage of people trapped in the back rooms. And yes, these videos are confirmed to be canon to A24’s movie. Now, you don't actually have to watch those in order to see and understand the movie. However, what they do tell us is that Kane depicts these monsters called the entities that live in the back rooms. And since the web series found footage is canon to the movie, you can expect some entities in A24’s Backrooms.
Lisa felt her way deeper along the gap, but as she pressed on, she encountered several mysterious figures in biohazard suits, who sprayed a large amount of smoke at her. It turned out they were workers stationed at the exit of the backrooms, whose purpose was to eliminate any monsters that emerged from within. Lisa was eventually rescued safely, though what they did not know was that this was far from the only entrance to the backrooms. This night, a man named Jimmy suddenly discovered a white light appearing on the wall of his basement. Curious, he reached out and touched it, and unexpectedly his whole body passed straight through the thick wall. Before him was an unfamiliar room that had never existed in his home, with various pieces of furniture piled haphazardly in the center. He never expected that his own basement was hiding such a mysterious space. Jimmy then pressed his body against the wall and tested it several more times, finding that he could pass through effortlessly every time without any resistance. After confirming that he could freely enter and exit this strange space, Jimmy gradually grew bolder, and his curiosity drove him to walk into the inner room. Little did he know, this would be the beginning of his nightmare. This was level 0, the most basic level of the backrooms. The entire space had no windows, lit only by fluorescent tubes overhead, with every wall covered in yellow wallpaper. One moment of inattention, and he would lose himself in this oppressive space. Even stranger, despite there being no sign of any living presence, Jimmy discovered the carcass of a seagull in the corner of the wall. After passing through several rooms, he came to a corridor with no visible end. Through the dim light, he saw a figure appear in the distance. Only when he drew closer did he realize it was merely a human-shaped advertisement board, fitted with a transmitter, its wires stretching all the way into the adjacent room. Jimmy attempted to enter the room and trace the wires to their source, but the wooden door seemed as though it had been welded shut and could not be pushed open no matter what. Upon closer inspection, he noticed what appeared to be a hidden door in another corner of the wall. Sure enough, with just a slight push, he took the wooden panel off the wall, revealing a long, narrow hollow inside. At the entrance of the hollow sat a backpack, which contained nothing of value, only a staff identification card. Dropping the backpack, Jimmy continued his exploration, slowly crawling deeper into the hollow. At the far end, another room appeared, its layout even more bizarre than before. Everything was arranged in a deeply abnormal way, with several shoes embedded deep into the floorboards, and even the legs of a chair sunk into the ground. Just as Jimmy stood there puzzling over this, a sudden noise came from the hollow behind him. He slowly went to investigate.
Anyone there?
Terrified by the dark shadow that flashed before him, he quickly made his way to the innermost corner of the room, where another hidden door awaited. Crawling back out through the hollow brought him right back to the first room he had entered. But when he felt along the wall and tried to escape the backrooms, he found that the wall had suddenly become solid and impenetrable, impossible to pass through, and the dark shadow behind him was drawing ever closer.
How exactly did the backrooms come into existence? What were these test workers there for? What even are the monsters inside the backrooms? I'll walk you through the entire backrooms lore built by director Kane in just 1 minute. Before the backrooms framework was fully fleshed out, this whole idea started out as nothing more than a single image posted on an online forum. That all changed when Kane, the creator behind the Backrooms series, uploaded his self-made backrooms short films to YouTube. He slowly turned that simple concept into a fully realized, cohesive world building. Fans refer to this iteration as Kane's version of the Backrooms. Kane lays out a complete narrative within his Backrooms canon. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, the world's population skyrocketed at a rapid pace. Scientists realized Earth's finite natural resources would run dry before long. Because of this, tech corporation A24’s made the call to construct a dimension that overlaps parallel to the real world, and that project was dubbed the Backrooms Initiative. They harnessed magnetic fields to force a rift in real-world space-time. As their experiments pressed forward non-stop, finally pried open a gateway between dimensions, and the Backrooms was born. A24’s sent out teams of test personnel, the folks you see in the film wearing those yellow hazmat suits, to explore this uncharted, bizarre realm. They quickly found everything played out nothing like their original plans. The Backrooms stretches on infinitely, with no end in sight, so they began dumping piles of trash within its expanse. And one day, something horrific unfolded. They stumbled across a dead body deep in the backrooms. What's more, missing person cases had spiked sharply ever since the very day they first breached open the backrooms. This meant countless extra entryways leading into the backrooms had unlocked on their own. Countless ordinary people wandered in with zero clue what they were stepping into, and none ever managed to find their way back out. Those lost people eventually transformed into the creatures roaming endlessly throughout the backroom.
Why did Clark not choose to escape upon encountering the pirate replica, unlike Mary? In fact, he is not the real Clark. In the backrooms, space is divided into multiple layers of replica dimensions, with the top layer connecting to reality, where replicas are most complete. The further down you go, the rougher the replication becomes. Therefore, the layer with the pirate replicas is certainly not the top layer, and Clark is certainly not the real person, as he never intended to escape the backrooms. He is actually a clone, created from the future space, and he is the most complete version of Clark, so his cognitive functions are almost identical to the original. In the dialogue between the clone and the pirate, we can infer that the clone has become accustomed to life in the future world and has no desire to escape. Hence, the pirate did not attack him. However, when Mary triggered something in the clone Clark, it seemed he developed a sense of self-awareness and wanted to set Mary free from this future world. This led to the pirate killing the clone and chasing after Mary, who was trying to escape. It can be deduced that the real Clark was already killed by a first-generation clone. When the team entered the future space, both the original and the replica existed simultaneously in the first layer of the dimension, and the purpose of the replicas was to eliminate anyone trying to escape from this place.
Why is the photo Phil shows Mary blurred, even though she has already seen the captain? At the end of Backrooms, after managing to escape Captain Clark, Mary is eventually rescued by async employees, who immediately extract her from the complex. After allowing her to shower and change clothes, they take her to an interrogation room. It is there that she meets Phil, an async scientist tasked with collecting her testimony. He first shows her a photograph of Clark's store, followed by a second one, in which Clark can be seen standing next to the captain. Except that there's one problem: a huge black rectangle completely hides him. Yet Mary has literally just been chased by the captain throughout the Backrooms, so why would they try to hide something she has already seen? Well, in reality, Async knows perfectly well that she has seen the entity, and their goal is not to conceal its identity from her. The most logical theory is that Async deliberately censored the image to prevent Mary from remembering him, because remember, the Backrooms use memories to evolve. Since the ending of the film with Mary's still life in the interrogation room proves either that the Backrooms can scan anything located near an opening, or that Async most likely sent Mary's back inside the complex, then it is highly likely that as a safety measure, it would be better for her to forget him.
Did you notice that every single entity in the Backrooms movie is completely frozen, except for Barbara and Captain Clark? If all the entities in the Backrooms are just still forms that can't really move or function like living creatures, then how was the Captain Clark monster created? Here's my theory. Throughout the movie, we learned that still forms are distorted recreations of memories. They're not real people. They're basically incomplete copies made from whatever the Backrooms can scan from someone's mind. That's why most of them barely move at all. But there's one exception: Barbara. She's the only still form we repeatedly see running and moving naturally, and I think that's the clue. Phil explains that the Backrooms work similarly to an MRI, constantly scanning and recreating things. The more data it has, the more accurate the copy becomes. Most still forms are based on random memories, so the Backrooms only gets limited information. But Clark was different. He lived right next to a portal for years. The Backrooms wasn't just scanning his memories, it was scanning Clark himself over and over again, collecting more data than it ever had on anyone else. So while the other entities became incomplete still forms, Clark became something else entirely, a fully realized life form, which would explain why the Captain Clark monster is so different from every other creature we've seen. The Backrooms didn't just copy him, it perfected him.
Backrooms started to appear on the internet in 2019. Now, this creepy setting quickly became a doorway to horrifying stories. The real reason why the film has blown up is because of creepypasta. First thing, Backrooms isn't actually a Hollywood film released by A24. Creepypasta comes from the internet slang term copypasta, meaning text that gets copied and pasted across forums. Think Slender Man, Salad Fingers, Lost Episodes. All these stories are part of the same horror ecosystem, and the Backrooms fits right into the lineage. The original Backrooms idea is thought to have come from a 4chan post from 2019, where someone described a place you could no-clip into, borrowing the gaming turn of glitching through reality. The image was spread with it: endless yellow office rooms, buzzing lights, and a feeling of being watched. And this turned a simple horror post into one of the internet's most recognizable modern horror concepts. And Kane basically took that idea and turned it into something real.
What actually are the Backrooms? They are a parallel dimension that exists just outside our reality. People enter the Backrooms by glitching through solid surfaces or slipping through weak points in space. Once inside, escape becomes nearly impossible. The Backrooms are made up of endless, interconnected levels that stretch infinitely. Each level follows its own rules, with unstable physics, shifting environments, and limited resources. Time and space don't behave normally there. Distances feel distorted, navigation is unreliable, and survival depends on understanding each level's unique conditions. Some areas are empty and silent. Others are inhabited by hostile entities that evolved within the dimension.
What is the bacteria in the Backrooms? They are a very aggressive entity that roams around level 0 and have amazing hearing as they are very sensitive to sound. It can spot players from afar and hunt down its target. They are tall beings that are made up of a black substance. You can only hide from it by taking sharp turns and crouching to reduce noise. They can move very quickly and targets the closest players. Which Backrooms entity would you like to hear about next?